You're likely used to seeing construction in downtown Madison, whether it be on John Nolan Drive, lots for affordable housing, or along the bus rapid transit routes. But with federal funding in constant flux, our Maddie Heimsch takes a look around Madison to check on the status of city projects.
The Madison skyline is pretty regularly under construction, and those big city construction projects are pretty regularly funded in part with federal dollars. So what happens when those federal dollars become uncertain?
The large-scale tax cuts and then having to make spending reductions in the federal budget could put some pressure on projects like this.
City Finance Director David Schmidtke says federal funds are a relatively small part of the city budget, but they're critical in key areas.
These major infrastructure projects sometimes are beyond the capacity of local governments to do.
Schmidtke says large-scale city planning and development projects rely heavily on federal dollars, usually allocated years in advance.
The expectation is that those dollars will come through.
Phase 1 of the John Nolan Drive construction project, for example, received $1 million in county funds, $10.5 million from the city, and $42.6 million in federal dollars.
We're really heavily dependent on being able to move forward with that based on the commitment of the federal government to help finance it.
That makes potential spending cuts at the federal level a big concern.
Kind of affecting how we're able to make investments in those areas.
The second bus rapid transit route also in limbo.
That is primarily a federally funded project.
If the federal money is no longer available, I asked Schmidtke if the city's general fund could fill the gaps.
We're talking about the entire budget for 1 year for this one project. So I think the city's capacity and ability to do that, the same with most cities around the country, kind of need that support from the federal government.
And while we don't know whether or not that support will be revoked, Schmidtke says if it is, the consequences would be hard to bounce back from.
It's a process that's been set up and in place for many years that's kind of being disrupted at the moment.
Reporting in Madison, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
Now, federal funding cuts could also impact the city's affordable housing initiatives, clean energy project, and existing transportation services.